Product provided by Nintendo. Detective Pikachu was originally released in Japan a few years ago as an episodic adventure. Now the game has come to the West in a complete package and for the first time, physically too. Detective Pikachu is unlike any other Pokemon game before it. It's more of a classic adventure game rather than the more traditional RPG gameplay, and certainly something that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. Going into the game, I only really knew that there was a Pikachu that could speak English and loved coffee. I purposely tried to stay as blind as possible with Japan getting the game so early. Detective Pikachu is available now for the Nintendo 3DS for $40. In Detective Pikachu, you play as a young boy in a red hoodie named Tim Goodman. Tim has traveled all the way to Rhyme City where he runs into a Pikachu named Detective Pikachu. Pikachu isn't just a normal Pikachu though. He wears a signature detective cap, can speak English with a very deep voice, and loves coffee and flirting with women. Wait, what? I feel attacked, Nintendo. Anyway, the only more odd thing than Pikachu being able to speak English is that only Tim can understand him for some reason. That underlying mystery is explained by the end of the game. The two unlikely pair of heroes find themselves working together. Tim has come to the city to find his dad, who mysteriously went missing 2 months ago when he was on a case in the same city. With investigations being his bread and butter, Detective Pikachu agrees to help Tim find his father. Together the two go on a 12-hour mystery adventure that feels more like a modernized point-and-click adventure set in the world of Pokemon. I didn't really expect to like Detective Pikachu as much as I did. I think like a lot of people online, I originally expected to be thrown off and feel uncomfortable having to hear a deep-voiced Pikachu who is the polar opposite of Ash's classic Pikachu. Oddly enough, I found his quick remarks to be funny and charming though. He's a ladies' man, or a ladies' Pikachu, with an attitude as bold as his signature coffee. Tim, on the other hand, is not as confident as Pikachu. He's more of a mild in personality teenager with a positive, optimistic view on life. The two bring out the best of each other while still being complete opposites. As I mentioned before, Detective Pikachu feels very much like a modern point-and-click adventure game. Gameplay is broken down into individual cases that more often than not were pretty easy to solve. That's the general theme with the gameplay in this game. It's absurdly easy to solve cases to the point that I knew the answer to some of these mysteries way before the conclusion even came out to be. That's the general theme with the gameplay in this game. It's absurdly easy to solve cases to the point that I know some of the answers to the mysteries before even reaching the conclusion. Regardless, the game will still make you try to find every piece of evidence and interview every person in the area before concluding the case. Each case takes you to a new environment with new characters to interact with, keeping things feeling fresh and new. Cases are broken down to analyzing a crime or a mystery scene. Here you can observe for any left behind clues and interview the witnesses at the scene. While Tim helps out by interviewing the human witnesses, Pikachu helps out by being the only one there able to speak to other Pokemon, sometimes offering a new perspective that the human characters misjudged. Once you have all your evidence and interviews conducted, you'll be able to conduct a closure with all the evidence you have at hand. Collecting and organizing your evidence is really simple and intuitive with the 3DS touchscreen. You can look over all your character profiles and the collective evidence all in your handy notebook. Each case almost feels like a very westernized version of the Pokemon anime. The art style may be different, but you're essentially helping someone with a problem in every case with the help of Pokemon, and that's certainly a big chunk of what the anime is. The gameplay didn't really sell me so much in this game. I found it to be incredibly easy and more catered to a child. I'm a 22-year-old man, so obviously if this game is catered to younger children, I'm going to find some of the puzzles a bit too easy. With that said, the interactions between the characters and just waiting to see what Detective Pikachu says next was always a treat and was my motivation to keep on playing. Detective Pikachu's charm is better accompanied with the new characters that are introduced progressively through your journey. You can think of them as allies to your investigation team. Detective Pikachu offers some of the best visuals on the platform in terms of just straight up art style. The game uses fully CGI cutscenes that look great on the 3DS and capture all of the personality quirks of the characters. Both cutscenes and gameplay offer this almost western cartoon style to it that looks nothing like previous games in the Pokemon series. It's a simple look, but it works well with the much better animated cutscenes that are frequently played on screen. This is a game that shows the age of the 3DS hardware though. Like a lot of new games on the 3DS recently, this game completely scraps the 3D effect, and that's probably in part to how taxing the game can be on the hardware. The game targets 30 frames per second, but there are certain areas that can drop well below that frame rate into the lower 20 frames per second whenever you're in a large crowd of people, and that's even on the more powerful new 3DS XL or new 2DS XL. Detective Pikachu offers a variety of different tracks that play along with the tone of the many cases you'll have to solve. I noticed that a lot of the songs offer this almost peaceful yet somewhat creepy vibe to them that heighten your curiosity. The remaining majority of the music offered a variety of jazz, some slow and some much faster, like in the Gengar case. It actually sort of reminded me of Persona 3's soundtrack if it was much more tamer with no lyrics. The tracks were pretty good, but nothing too memorable for me. The voice acting on the other hand was beautifully done by the English voice cast. I went into this game dreading having to hear a deep voiced Pikachu that was a polar opposite of the Pikachu I'm used to, only to finish the game and wanting a Detective Pikachu skin for the upcoming Smash Bros. Game. Detective Pikachu is certainly a different type of Pokemon game from the mainline series, and even some of the spin-off games that have become popular. That's not a bad thing though. I found the new genre take on the series to actually be enjoyable and much more humorous than I originally thought it would be. It is a bit easy though, and that's with me playing on the normal difficulty. There's still an even easier mode that you can choose to play, and I just chose not to. I assume this game is more catered to younger children, and in that aspect I would have loved to see a harder difficulty available from the get-go for older players. The 3DS hardware is also starting to show its age, with the game not offering a 3D mode despite having in-your-face cutscenes perfect for the situation. There's also the occasional frame rate drop here and there, which is something to take note of. Overall though, Detective Pikachu is a fun 12-hour adventure filled with laughs and humor. It is a bit lacking in difficulty though, and certainly a knockback for the older crowd of gamers. On the other hand, if you're watching this review as a kid or are thinking of buying this game for a kid, I think it's a perfect title to introduce them to the 3DS. That does it for my review of Detective Pikachu for the 3DS. If you have any questions about the game or future review requests, please leave them in the comments down below. If you like my reviews, then please consider dropping a like and subscribe. The more likes this video gets, the more likely YouTube is to actually push it out to subscribers. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.